Okay, good morning, Justin. Commodore. I'm not a Commodore. I'm a Comma geek. So how's everybody doing today? I thought we'll start here at around 8 o'clock. Looks like the stream is, there it goes green. It was a little red there for a minute. So let the cache catch up, and I'll be with you in just 1 minute. Get one of these, do its thing. Hey, that looks to be working. I just set it loose on the world, so we'll have to see how that goes. Second, I was going to check something. There was one part of it that once I made it go live was not correct, and I just updated it. It said it would take a couple minutes, so I'm going to check that real quick and make sure it is doing the thing it's supposed to be doing. I haven't got my PayPal set up for the store yet, and it's showing PayPal as a checkout option, and it is not supposed to. Yeah, it's still showing that. I'm not sure why. So later in the week, once I finish getting PayPal set up, I didn't want it to be on my personal PayPal account. I want it to be on, showing up as RavenWolf Retro Tech. But yeah, I'll give you guys a quick sneak peek of it today. I've only got about 50 items in it, but I figured I'd get it up and testing and make sure everything works right. Give you guys a code that you can use at the end of the stream to get a discount, and I'm trying to do it so that it'll work well, to have prices below eBay, but not so far below that eBayers just snap everything up and repost it. So I figure using these codes for guys like you, I can get the best of both worlds and also, get this stuff out to people who cares about it. So it's been an adventure. It says press up and down. Have I got the joystick in the wrong port? Yeah, I do. Hey, that'll do it. Funny how that works. There it goes. There is no way I can play this on this tiny window in a tiny window. I can't even see anything. I don't think I've ever even seen the pit. I don't even know where my player is. Oh, right there. Oh, is this like a Dig Dug clone? I'm playing on a window that's about 2 inches. Across, just in a corner of a corner, so that's going to be a challenge for me. So, but that one seems to work, and it's 8 o'clock, so let's get started. If I can get this new mouse to work. There we go. Hey everybody. So today I thought we'd test some of these cartridges. I've been working on getting the storefront set up and avoiding that eBay hole. Morning, Bernard. And one of the things that bugged me is just because of time, every single item I've got up on the store says the same thing, untested. So I figured we'd test a few things and see how they're working. So, morning, Rudy. So this is Hessware's The Pit. I always want to call it Sword of the Stars, The Pit. Isn't that the name of it? Anyway, cartridge labeled The Pit. The first one testing. When it comes to these games, I'm realizing now on the stream, there's no way I'm going to play them because the stream that's going out to you guys is just a teeny window of the corner of OBS for me, and then the actual gameplay screen is another teeny corner of the window of the OBS teeny corner. So I can barely even see what it says there. Hey, morning, Sentinel Deluxe. And I try to remember everybody's names, but I am horrible with names, and I always have been. So I've got a lot of cartridges here to test. The first few sitting up here are already listed on the store. The store is at shop.ravenwolf, I was going to say RavenWolf Farm, which is my old domain. shop.ravenwolfretrotech.com. So if you want to play around and check it out. Right now, the only problem I'm having with it is I haven't got my PayPal set up for it yet. And I've got PayPal turned off in checkout, but there's still the top PayPal button's gone, but the bottom one's still there. So if you try to check out with PayPal, I do not think it will work. In fact, I know it won't. So as far as testing things, I don't know if you guys have suggestions. I can't think of a way to test something thoroughly. I can basically just test and see that it starts up and works. Checking every bit, other than having some kind of an EEPROM reader and knowing what the CRC code for each ROM would be. It's the only way I could think of to do that, and that's just not practical. Discs are going to be even worse. If the game boots, great. If it doesn't, obviously it doesn't work, but I'm worried about, hidden sector errors and stuff. So this is Star Trek. I always forget the name of it, and it's way too small. My God, my eyes. Star Trek Strategic Operations Simulator, and I don't think I've ever played this. It looked like it was very highly rated online, so I thought maybe I'd check it out at some point. So it looks like cartridge starts up, and oh, apparently it's a trademark of Paramount Corporation. Oh yeah. The button makes me move. Nothing. Oh, I see. I'm using the wrong. So how do you shoot? I'll have to check out the instructions for this one and figure out how to play, but it does start up, which is good. I think I have seen this before. This was a game in the arcades. So, hey, good morning, Mondo. See, I didn't even have a game going there, did I? Maybe. This tiny screen is going to be a challenge for my old eyes. Hey, this is a visible solar system. See, we don't want to have the invisible solar system because, space is empty enough as it is. Hey, Rudy. Diagnostic test harness, diagnostic cart, and game cart to do the full tests. So I have a diagnostic test harness for the 64s, but how do you test that the cartridge itself is good? Yeah, Senley, I figured if the cartridges start, they're probably good. That's true. My concern is mainly the discs. I figure if the ROMs start, the ROMs are going to be fine. I figure most of the cartridges should be fine. I just want to do the cartridges first. This 1541 is the very first one I ever restored, and I have a disc cleaning cleaning disc here ready to go. But once we start on discs, I think that's going to be a big issue, is making the heads real dirty and nasty. Music composer. I don't have a musical bone in my body. Well, I suppose the cochlear bone. I like listening to music, but boy, when it comes to playing it, I am terrible. Okay, so it just started up in 64 mode. And I have no idea what this should do. So I will have to look into Music Composer. The pins look pretty clean. Yeah, they look great. So I'll have to check and see if maybe maybe this has an extra disc that goes with it, or maybe it's bad. Kindercomp from Spinnaker. There's a lot of educational stuff in this collection. Boy, that looks very VIC-20 to me. Hey, Bernie, yeah, if I had, I don't know about CRT, but like a CRC, a cyclic redundancy check, just the number that represents the total data on the cartridge. For instance, if I put my Retro Chip Tester Pro together, and if I had the ROM reads for these, I could check them. It would identify, if the ROM was good, it would identify the cartridge, because there is a cartridge adapter for it. It would identify what it is, and if it identifies correctly what it is, then you know that the ROM's good, because the CRC value is good. Yeah, Rudy, it's a Super Zaxxon. I've been looking for that. Haven't seen it yet. It's supposed to be really good for checking PLAs. Silly. So that looks to me like it has... Is that actually got something, or has that thing crashed? I didn't think about the challenge of working on a screen that's this big. Oh, this 64 is definitely good. I'm testing the cartridges. So I do have a diagnostic ROM. So got a set of dongles and then the diag. And this machine, I believe, this was the Psychedelic 64 in one of my videos. And then this was the 1541 that beat me up. So I'm going to check out Kindercomp a little bit more later. Make sure it's working, but it looks to be all right. Hey, 4000, good morning. Yeah, you can get a remake of the Super Zaxxon. I have to admit, I'm not really a snob for the old stuff, but I just love it. So if I'm going to wait till I've gone through all the Stone Collection stuff, because I'm hoping there's one in there. There's a lot of cartridges kicking around here. I've got 2 more boxes of them over here. Yeah, suddenly I probably should have done that, but it's kind of hard to tell, but my bench is a little bit of a mess right now. I can barely get to anything. I've got discs and stuff up on this monitor stand. I suppose I could hook it up to that 1084S. What was that doing? Exactly. And, you know, no money. Frogger, you are not looking happy. Yeah, this needs to be cleaned up. So I'll set that aside to clean and test. Oh man, this is one of the finest games ever made for the 64 or the VIC-20. The music is just a masterpiece. And I'm saying that with a straight face. So, now I'm beginning to wonder, if I've gotten the port on this dirty. Let's check that. Yoinks. Let me say I had a can ready. So, and these cartridges have all been wiped out, but they have not been disassembled and pencil erasered. Can you hear the Radar Rat Race tune? Because it's not running here. So I'm just real quick, just to be sure, I'm going to go back to something that ran and make sure we haven't had some kind of a failure here. Nope, that's starting just fine. Okay, Hessware. I always thought this was the silliest game name ever. Attack of the Mutant Camels. AMC. Press fire for start. Not going to play this very long because entering zone 0. Wow, this is a fast-moving one. Is this is this basically just a centipede clone? Interesting, but it works. Excellent. Or as my brother would say, egg salad. Jumpman Jr. That's a classic old one. So make a wire squid, get S video and composite at the same time. There you go. Jumpman Jr. is also not starting. I have a feeling these are just going to need some cleaning. Let me see if I have a pencil handy. One of the most versatile tools in your vintage toolkit. Not only is it a contact cleaner, it's a cassette rewinder. There's many, many uses. Of course, I would prefer to take this apart to do this. Well, something different, so I have a feeling I just have some dirty contacts on these, so I will clean them up and check and see what we get. Matrix, it's the same game, title was changed. Centipede on crack. All right, I want to try this one. This is the CPM cartridge. I've heard it's Bill Hurd's, pun not intended, favorite cartridge ever. Because it was a nightmare. It's why the 128 has a Z80 in it. I think I mentioned that on an earlier stream. So if you haven't read Back into the Storm, I highly recommend it. So I believe that is correct. I have no idea if this disc is any good. And this is staying in my collection. Well, visually the disc looks fine. On here. CPM cart, broken by design. Ah, we are in CPM already, aren't we? And I haven't used CPM. No, shift lock's on. There we go. I know I could do star, but you know, what's the fun in that? Seems to be working. Yeah, if anybody hasn't read Bill Hurd's Back into the Storm, just short stories mainly from his time at Commodore. Yeah, there's a whole chapter, I think, on this CPM because it was the one cartridge it could never get to work right. It hacks into the system kind of funky, so that from my understanding, the CPM cartridge still needs to allow the 6502 or the 6510 to run and access the drive to get drive access and port access and stuff. So the Z80 in here and the 6502 are kind of doing weird stuff and sharing the bus, and they could never get that to work on the 128. So they said, heck, let's just slap a cheap Z80 chip in the 128 so the CPM's built in, and that solved the problem. All right, this is still loading. It doesn't really surprise me. I don't know how long I'll let it go, but it seems to be working, which is great. I love the third book in the style like the user manual and the programmer manual. So I think that's pretty neat. Oh, preliminary. Was it me or did Commodore ship a lot of preliminary stuff for the entire life of the product? Look side to side. All right, so for the sake of brevity, do you guys want me to stop this or leave it running? The drive is happily whirring array, and the drive light, if you can see it, is definitely accessing. All right, I'm calling it. We're moving on. I will play with that a little later. Like I said, this is staying in my collection. I actually have a couple of CPM machines that I would like to be able to use this with anyway to read the discs. So, and I need to write some discs. I've got a Osbourne Executive, and all of the discs and manuals and paperwork and everything are still factory sealed. The guy bought it, and I've probably told this story before, but the guy bought it to replace his Osbourne 1, but he just kept using the discs that he had with the Osbourne 1 to write his book. Okay. This is another thing that's staying in my collection, and this is a Hessmon 64. This one is I've probably shown it on the stream before, but it's shrink wrap, but it's open at the top. Yeah, that's a good idea, Mondo. I'll set it aside. I want to play with it and get to know it. I don't know it very well at the moment. So here's a Hessware cartridge. Oh, there's two cartridges in here. That was probably my doing. So this one says Hessmon version 2. This just says Hessware, so let's try this one first. Okay, so this is all Hessmon 2. God, I haven't used this since the early 80s. There you go. So, seems to be working fine. I was actually writing a game in Hessmon. That's an idiot. Literally just entered everything in and then used the saved chunks of memory. Really do want to get back to this game. So, two Hessmon 2 cartridges. They both seem to work just fine. I will put the one in the box with the manual and save that for my collection. I will put this one up on the store, and I have a manual for it sitting on my desk, so I'll have a manual as well. Alright, and these have been unboxed before on the streams, but they have not been tested. This one is hilarious. Wonder what game that would be. So, Gobbler, my understanding from Geek with Social Skills, Sean, he collects cartridges, and I guess this was released under a couple of different names. I love how the thing's exposed, the card edge. Oh boy, how fast! 1 or 2 player. I'm terrible at Pac-Man, and micro tiny Pac-Man even worse, I'm sure. So, certified not Pac-Man. Please don't sue us. Well, it's not Pac-Man. It's Gobbler. And then, of course, Pac-Man was originally Puck-Man, P-U-C-Man, but they had to change that because they found out that they were warned by distributors that it would be vastly, wow, this is nasty. It would be very, very much vandalized in American arcades if they called it Puck-Man. So they changed it at the last minute. In fact, the ROMs on MAME are still under Puck-Man. There we go. Try that. All right, how fast? 1 or 2 player. I assume it's playing music. So I don't know about you guys, but I think this one may not be working. So it's not giving you the player. Oh, shift locks down. That might do it. So I'm going to set this aside for further research, but you guys don't want to watch me messing around with it for an unknown amount of time. Oh, another Jumpman Jr. That's the one we tested already. Oh, see, I did it. It's an old habit. It's hard to break. The guy from Cosme actually created many games with just Hessmon, like Aztec Challenge, Forbidden Forest, etc. Well, that's cool. Well, this Jumpman Jr. seems to be doing okay. Excellent. Nothing to it. Not joystick, but seems to be working fine. I have no idea what keys it uses. I'll put that as there for good. Oh, cool. This is Gateway to Apshai. Try the other joystick port. So, do you think a game would only work with a joystick in port 2? I would certainly give that a try. I don't know how well this joystick works either. I've never worked it over. So I haven't played a cartridge game on a Commodore 64 since, I would guess, 1985, because that's around when I went in the Army, late 85. Wow, you're right. That is annoying. So that is working though. That's just nuts. Why would you do that to us? I'm gonna turn this on, see how it's doing, and go grab another joystick. And I set this one aside because it looks good cosmetically, but it is totally 100% untested, so we can test it too. So I love the Wico. I always call him the Wico Bat. I think it's called the Commander. But it's got the auto fire. I had one of these back in the day. That's definitely stuck. Oh, the joystick's stuck too. So it's cosmetically great, but that is not going to work. So that needs torn down and cleaned up. Actually, though, that feels better. I set aside two. So, you know, you got to have a pair, right? Eventually, I'll be putting a bunch of these up for sale too, because there were, I want to say there's at least a dozen of these things in various conditions. A lot of them are the cable relief, strain relief is broken here, so they need a little bit of love and attention. All right, so gateway to Apshai does not seem to be doing its thing. And I will set that aside to test later. Gridrunner. So that's another old classic. I kind of like Hess products, but I think it's just because I used Hessmon so much. Yeah, my favorite joystick ever was one of these, except it had an auto fire switch or some kind of a switch here, but it's basically the same as this one. So all of these cartridges I'm pulling out now came from the Stone collection. So they were stored in the heat and the cold and the nasty. So I'm probably just going to need to start tearing them down and cleaning boards one at a time. Might be worth testing on another 64. Absolutely. I don't think, honestly, I don't think they're bad. I think that the card edges, I mean, these haven't been cleaned or serviced or anything. So, like, you know, if you look at this gateway to Apshai, it's pretty dirty. So the contacts aren't great. But I figured, you know, I could test the ones that are listed on the store, which there's quite a few of them there that were good, and see what's going on. Also have Sammy Lightfoot from Sierra. And I don't remember Sierra, I never owned it. I never owned any Sierra that was on cartridge. It was always on disc or cassette. So, Sammy Lightfoot. I got a question for you guys. Are you hearing any audio from the 64 on these games? So, player one, scene one. No audio. Okay, good to know. I will look into that and figure out how to get the there we go. Okay, yeah, it works. I just have no idea how to play it. I assume you bounce off of this thing. Yep. There we go. All right. So I'm going to call that one working. Okay, so I've got the audio running into the Retro Tank. Sorry, trying to point with a... Yeah, so the Retro Tank audio is turned on in OBS, so I'm going to have to figure out what's going on there. In the meantime, oh, hey, now this is a fun game, man. Easy Calc. I'm going to have an afternoon of playing with cartridges here soon. Can't really get in there very well with this pencil either. So I do have another 64, but it is in the house, so I really don't want to leave you guys waiting here while I go dig it up. All right, so this is Simon's Basic, but yeah, it's somebody like, I don't know if that's that looks more like cigarette melt than cable burn, but it looks like it'll plug in all right. Just gentle here. Nope. All right, and then yeah, I have a different amount of RAM free, so I'm going to assume that this is working. No calc. You know, I'm such an Excel user. I can't imagine going back to an old spreadsheet. That could be a nightmare. So, Hop Along Counting from Fisher-Price. Okay. So, we'll see if we can count on this cartridge. Oh, boy. Let's use every color in our letters. If the person who made this is on the stream right now, I apologize, kind of. But that looks good. Master Type Typing Instruction Game. There we go. So I think, yeah, it's 99% of our problems here are going to be bad connections. I'm going to have to get all these spiffed up, cleaned up, maybe a little bit of deoxit or something on them. But seems to be working. And the rest of these are all red. Moondust, Crisis Mountain. So those are one company, and then these are Fisher-Price. Add 'em Up and Alpha Build. So Moondust. Hopefully this is a Moon Patrol clone. I loved Moon Patrol. The song is burnt into my brain for eternity. There we go. No, I'm going to say not Moon Patrol. I don't even know what I am. Oh, I'm the white one. So what am I supposed to do? Well, maybe I'm not. Up and Down. Yeah, Moon Patrol had an awesome song. So Up and Down, is that Moon Patrol? You know, I did a bit of programming in Unity here a few years back, working on you know, a roguelike game. But the first thing I did to learn Unity was do basically a Moon Patrol clone. And it's really horrible and terrible. My graphic skills do not exist, so... but it worked. It was playable through a level. Alright, so I'm going to call Crisis Mountain working. And I am, like I said, I will have an afternoon of cartridge cleaning. Maybe I should teach my nephews how to clean cartridges. So, and no, I never did release that Moon Patrol clone because, let's be honest, I used all the sounds straight out of Moon Patrol, so kind of couldn't do that. but it sounded perfect, and the song was great. I ripped the song out of MAME so that it was like basically perfect. So that one looks good. I have no idea. Those credits. Oh wow, that is nice. Yeah, there's a local group that I've dealt with here a few times that has a barcade, and went in there about 10 years ago. They had a very properly equipped workbench. They had this giant workbench, two of them, scopes, everything, and they had this giant hookah between the two benches. So they were set up to get high scores. Yeah, I've been wanting to talk him into. I really have an itch to try to do a repair, and this is all from watching Frank on. I can't remember how to FDZZ something. He's in Italy. He's awesome. But he has done some repairs on like asteroid boards, and that looks like the kind of level of repair that I would do well at. It's kind of what we were doing in college. And I really love the fact that you can output it on your oscilloscope. So I'm hoping that they've got a dead board. I can just say, here, I'll fix it for you for free, guys. All right. More cartridges. And I'm going to skip this one for now because I don't even know what to do with it. It's a Video Byte 2. I think, yeah, I know these have all been shown on stream before I unbox this on stream. I think this is mostly tools. Well, multi-plan. Push the button, Retro Tech. There we go. Hey, that's a spreadsheet. 5, 7. Let's go with 7. Now can I go equals? Wait, 1, 1, not A1? Oh God, I'm not even gonna try. I'm not even gonna try. God, I love Moon Patrol. My wife loves it too. It's one of the, between Moon Patrol and R-Type, that's, I've got a MAME machine with like 300 games on it. It's a best babysitter you could ever invest in. So, and it's for the wife and I, it's Moon Patrol and R-Type is all that pretty much ever gets played on it. The kids love to play Golden Axe. They're like, we're really good. We got to the end. It's like, how many times did you push continues? Oh, that's okay. So they're having fun. Heck, for all I know, they're in there playing on it right now. And this is multi-term for the C64, and it is a homemade cartridge, so, or at least hand labeled. So I'll set that aside. I've found a few boards for cartridges that he was working on that had no ROMs on them, so I wouldn't be surprised. All right. So, correct me if I'm wrong, but that is probably a homemade pirated copy of Action Replay 5 Pro. Hey, look, Action Replay. My buddy had one of these for the Amiga, and he just loved figuring out how to hack scores and everything. It basically lets you pause the game and go in and look at the data. So that seems to work just great. I'm not sure. I'll probably just hang on to that myself. Ah, well, that's another one I've heard of. Never messed with, but the final cartridge. Although I understand that there was a final cartridge, so not sure. And I think I unboxed these ones on the last stream I did, so I'm not sure. So that should reset, yep, and that should freeze. So that seems to be working. And then Mach 8. Or sorry, Mach 128. So I don't know. It is full of cobwebs. So we'll get those out of there. Okay, so there's no way to really tell. Yep, so there's a reset. Flip the switch. Ah, there we go. So it's the Mach 5 with warp drive with the switch on. So that seems to work. Since I'm kind of collecting tools and service stuff like this that I only have one of, I'll be hanging on to for my collection of stuff, but a lot of stuff I won't. Now here is Mach 5, which is basically what that was doing. I believe this is just the Commodore 64 version. And the Mach 5 loader is engaged. So now here is a super snapshot, and it has V3, so it does have a label here. If you would focus kindly, Mr. Phone. There we go. So if you can see that, it's kind of hard to read, but 64 on the bottom, 128 on the top. So kind of neat that you can go between them. Set up for snapshot, copier menu, extended life, and disable. So that seems to be working. Figured these cartridges would go a little bit faster than this. And Epic's fast load. Epic's fast load. Epic's fast load. And there's so many more of them around here. This one works, and I use it on my own stuff. All right, there we go. If my drive was on, I could just hit $$ and read a directory and all that good stuff. These things are great. I love them. So I'm a little curious on some of these. I'm wondering if this just wasn't a contact issue. So I'm going to try a couple of these that we already set aside as not working. You know, A4000, I have no idea, but I understand it was one of the most popular cartridges ever sold, if not the most. There's certainly no shortage of them in this stuff. Koala Painter. So I know for a fact there are a boatload of koala pads, many of them clearly heavily used in a grade school situation. So I've only come across one so far, but they're out there in the boxes. So, Koala Painter. So there's that. Hook up a koala pad, paint with it. So I'll keep this aside to probably bundle with a koala pad. Hey, Cinelli, thanks for coming. Yeah, you know, A4000. Oh, my God. Moon Patrol. So yeah, it's funny because back in the day, you learned everything from magazines, and I was kind of in my own little bubble, so I didn't even know what a fast load cartridge was. I got rid of my 64 around 85, like I said. I'm trying to remember when the 128 came out, because I got it, I think I left the 64 here when I went in the Army at the end of 85. And then as soon as I got to Germany, I ordered a 128, got that, and then ordered the Amiga 500 like a year later or something. So the 128 was pretty short. Boy, that looks right, though. See, I'm helping you guys out. Boink. Shooting with the top. Hey, oh, ding, forgot, sorry. So this seems to work. I'm going to have to keep this, but I'll bet you there's more of them. I want to push a button and not up on the joystick to jump. But that works. All right. I know, I did the best I could, but I will figure out the... in fact, let me write a note real quick. Audio... C64 and figure out why I'm not getting audio, because it is on in OBS. So here's another copy of Simon's Basic fresh out of a plastic bag. I'm sure that works just fine because it's like not something everybody wants. But it is working. Extended something RAM V2 Basic. 38719 or 30719 basic bytes free, so that's looking fine and dandy. You know, been in the bag for 20-30 years, might as well leave it in there. Delta drawing, you know what, I came across something else for Delta drawing here the other day. Alright, I'm going to call that one good. So yeah, we had a few bad ones, and they were all in the same box. So maybe that box was a box he was throwing bad cartridges in. Hesswriter 64. So I've got 5 bad ones sitting here, I think. So Intertext 1 of 727. So literally not WYSIWYG, of course, but you know what is then back then. So Warp Speed, 64 and 128 mode. This is from Cinemaware, so I'm assuming this would work with some of their titles. It's amazing how many accelerator things there were out there. Oh, that's okay, A4000T. I have to put a name to that moniker one of these days. So Warp Speed seems to be working fine. Another copy of Hessmon 64. Looks good. Just going to try to bolt through these fairly quickly because nobody's really all that excited by tools and utilities, at least nobody but me and a few of you guys. Warp Speed. Every disc he formatted said Warp Speed. 38911. This is called Blow Up. Oh, it's got a button on it, so I bet you the system comes up normal and the button triggers. Yep. So Blow Up version 1.1 by Steve, I can't read that, Matowski, and Norm Saylor. That is so tiny I can barely read it. So looks like an interesting tool. I don't know if anything about it. 64th, a little bit of the 4th language there. A lot of 4th stuff, a lot of logo stuff. Some of the full-size logo boxes too. So there we go, 4th by Human Engineered Software. And Magic Desk, that is a heavy cartridge. I'm guessing more RAM or something. Magic Desk type in file. Okay. Is this a GEOS kind of thing? You use a joystick and that's hilarious. Typewriter mode. But it works. i3. So all of those work. The only thing else I have here is a typing tutor for the VIC-20 cassette, which obviously I can't test on this. So all of these cartridges here, and I will just move this out of the way for a minute. So in addition to the ones that are on the store, all of these stacks tested good. So lots and lots of good cartridges. We just had a weird run at the beginning. They were all kind of together. Oh, those are good too. Had a weird run at the beginning of cartridges that were together that were bad. So we will have to take a look at those and figure that out. And then in addition, these ones were also good. These are ones that I had set aside. Oh, I do have 2 more to test. I forgot about those. I was kind of waiting for Geek with Social Skills to show up, but SOL, he can watch it later. I've got some stuff going up to him. I don't know if you guys are aware, but he has a cartridge collection. So I've got a couple of things here that I noticed. He has bare cartridge only, and these are in the box. So we'll send these up to him if I can get them out of the box. That is not in the right slot. Wow. Open the bottom and push it through. Don't want to damage its box. Well, that is really tight. I believe it's supposed to go in there. So this is Story Machine from Spinnaker. Okay, well that looks like it works. So like I said, Sean, now that it's tested, the price is going to double to nothing. And then this is the Webster word game. And that's in an extremely heavy clamshell. And I don't think there's any way to help these. I found a lot of these clamshells are either split down here, this one's not, or they're really tight. If I open it beyond here, it feels like it's just going to crack and break. So I don't know over time if those are just going to glue themselves shut. Oh, you dumbasses. Oh, God. I said that on YouTube. I'm going to get in trouble. So, they've got their label set up. So, you just have to look. That's the bottom. That's the top. That is bad design, if you ask me. But, you know, CBS, I guess... if they were doing good design, they'd still be in business. Oh, wait, they are. All right. Somebody's having fun changing the pointers in assembly there. Don't think you need a fast loader for a cartridge, but also tests good. That's excellent. Well, it's good anyway. So, I've got a couple other things here that were favorites of mine back in the day. And I want to see if these work. I played this. I have the original. I can't remember if I played it on the 64 or Amiga. I think it might have been on the 128 when I was in Germany, so 64 mode. And see instruction manual for loading instructions. If it's not just load star, you're doing it wrong. So we'll just go with go comma 1. So this game is just a bunch of mini games, and they're just a lot of fun. And I don't see loading instructions in the manual. It's kind of hilarious. And all I have is the disc. There we go. All right. Yep, there we go. So I'm going to say that disc works. And this is not from the Stone collection. This is from the Alaska stuff. Really sweet lady sold me a bunch of stuff that was her brother's. And it kind of got, I need to do a video about it. It kind of, my feelings, it got a little shortchanged because like a month later, the Stone collection came along before I did a video about this stuff. But basically, it's a box of software. It's a monitor, a Commodore 64 with some broken keys, and 4 floppy drives. I have a video, pictures of him, you know, kind of to show the family. But, so that was stored outside in Alaska in a shed. So I'm kind of surprised it works, but kind of not. It's better than mold. So another one I got here is Red Storm Rising from Microprose. Let's see here. I believe this is also an Alaska one. This is side one, all right. Okay, don't like the sound of that disc, but I'm going to try it. And then I got one more I want to try just because I loved this back in the day, and that's Night Mission Pinball. So I will try that next. Then I'm going to show you what I got going on the store, give you guys a code so that you can get a discount if you want to buy stuff. I've tried to price it below eBay, but not so far below that somebody's just going to snap it all up and relist it on eBay. So I've set shipping as cheap as I can. And I'm doing it through Shopify, which has a pretty significant discount on shipping. So I am open to suggestions. Feel free to contact me or whatever. If you have suggestions, you can send it to support@RavenWolfRetroTech.com. And I finally got email set up on that domain instead of the RavenWolf Farm stuff that I always used. This one probably could have used a fast loader. I will put a store link in the description. It was not there initially because I literally set the store to live at 7:30. So as soon as the stream's over, I'll go in and add a link. It is shop.ravenwolfretrotech.com. And I have about 50 items on there. Basically everything in a bin I have here, which is, I don't want to set it on the 64, but there's games, there's just kind of variety. I have not put anything that's really cool or really special up there. For the most part, it's just to get started and make my mistakes, but you know, I'm learning, and like I said, the PayPal link was supposed to be gone. I will be doing PayPal, but I need to get it set up through them. I'm going to stop this. What I'm not hearing is I don't hear the head stepping, so it's like it's staying on the same track. So I think what I need to do is turn it off. I will set this aside for the moment and give it a try later. Clean it up, and then I'm going to go ahead and give these heads a quick clean so they have time to dry for a minute. So the code I set up, and I'll put that in there, it's good on one order per person. I think it's 25% off, and it's good until next Sunday, if I remember right. I was literally set it up while I was trying to figure out how discount codes work. So yeah, and like I said, if you have suggestions, I might tweak the code. And the code, God, I got to remember what it is. It's Stream Team 42 with a capital S and a capital T. So camel case, Stream Team 42. Actually, I guess that's not camel case, is it? That would be Pascal case. But you know, I want these heads to dry, not too much alcohol on them. I don't have any alcohol on them when I put the disc in. This disc is not looking real happy though. It's probably impossible to catch on camera, but it's got a little bit of a mottled appearance to it. So I'll give it a quick shot, but I'm not too positive. Okay, there we go. So, see what's on this disk, see if we can even get a directory. Yep, getting an error. Yep. So this disc is definitely going to be not good. And I was kind of expecting that. That's sad, but the thing is, you know, I love the game. I got a grease weasel. So I can keep the original disc with this, and I've got the manual in the box and everything, and I'll just write a disc. I have to say, oh, geez. I know you heard me complain about the 128D last week, and it has been a floppy nightmare. And it's really turned out to be a floppy disk nightmare. So, and I think you guys told me last week that these are like the cruddiest discs ever. So this is a brand new sealed in the box package of new old stock floppies, and I'm throwing them in the trash right now. These things are junk, and they literally damage the heads on the second drive. So third drive's in the machine, it works fine. Using floppy disks that I have from other sources, it works fine. But I'm going to probably use this drive to test floppies. I don't want to use the internal drive on the 128. Did you end up upgrading the 128? I have not upgraded it yet. I haven't looked at that. What I was thinking of doing is I've got some oh, you know, stream brain. My brain is toast. I've got some Jiffy DOS ROMs that I could put in it. So I was thinking of putting those in there as a separate video later. But the 128D is working. You know, sometimes I get in my own head on editing a video, and that's where I'm at on this one. So I'm going to focus really hard on getting that video done this week. I'm going to skip the stream next week. So week after next Sunday, I'll do the next stream. I'm going to be taking over some financial stuff for a family member starting tomorrow. So that is probably going to take a bit of time. So I need to get that out. I got the caps in for the 4000, the Amiga 4000. So I got to get that power supply fixed and get the 4000 going. And then I got an SX64 that I'm going to be doing next. So 128D's got to be finished, 4000's got to be finished, then on to an SX64. On top of that, I'm going to be continuing to list stuff on the store. And I'll probably extend the stream discount to the following week since I'm not going to stream next week. Honestly, I need to make some room in here. This place is a mess. And if there's something special you're looking for, let me know, and I'll see about adding that on. But, you know, the cartridges, a lot of good ones. I'm going to have to go into the store and change a whole bunch of them to test it. It really bothered me that I had a tag for untested but not tested. And I have the store set up so that you can go search, and I'll be adding more categories. I literally just need to take category picture headings for these things so that you can search by sealed. So only sealed stuff or only tested stuff. Yeah, well, it's kind of, that's why I set up the Patreon, and I guess I should mention that is thank you to, and I'm terrible with names, Doug Johnson. He was my very first ever Patreon. I want to do something special for him. Sean with Geek with Social Skills is also signed up. I really appreciate that, guys. I don't have a job right now, and if I can get just all the different things, you know, getting enough in to cover my health insurance, that's the main issue I have. I'm 58. I need to make it to 65 dealing with my health insurance. And, you know, so, you know, if I can just make $1,000 or $1,500 a month, that would cover all my health insurance and medical costs because it's insane in this country. Keeping a clean disk handy. I found those ancient floppies Yes, in fact, I don't know if you noticed, but between the two things, I ran the cleaning disk in the drive. So definitely keeping this handy, using it regularly. I'm probably going to need to get some more of these because, you know, eventually it'll start turning brown. In the 128D video, you'll see I was having a noise that I thought was a bearing noise. It was a very squealy bearing noise, and it turned out to be the heads. And after cleaning those heads, they look spotless. I still can't get that drive to read. Grim Engineer, I find myself having to clean every second or third disc sometimes. Yeah, that is just seems to be the state, and that's where I'm kind of marking on the Stone collection. You can also see if something's in the Stone collection. It's in a category Stone, or it's tagged with Stone on the thing, on the store. Is that I'm pretty much going to say that Stone discs, you should assume they're not working, and that doesn't mean they're not. I've got like 128 discs that, you know, came in the folio with the 128 that worked fine. But I'm just saying it's safe to assume they were in a really harsh environment. There's a lot of powder, like mold spore powder. I don't know that the mold's actually growing on stuff, but it was on the ground floor in one area of the building, and it seems like the spores, or maybe it's just dust. I don't know. So I would just say assume on discs that they're not going to work, and I'm trying to price them accordingly. I will do some testing, but it's really hard. It just takes so much time, and there's thousands of discs. So yeah, cleaning every time. Any synth carts in the collection? Synth with a C, because there is... Like, I've got the Kawasaki synthesizer and Rhythm Rocker. I've got those up as a lot, just the two of them. So there's that. And then there's a bunch of other music. So is that what you meant? Because it's with a C. Oh, no, you're fine. No, you're not asking repeated questions. So yeah, there is some music stuff in there. There's I've got stuff kind of categorized. Pretty much productivity is music, graphics, word processing, spreadsheets. All of that I've got under productivity. Education is like the kid writer, just the educational things. I'm getting something set up for tools and stuff, things like programming language, programming tools I'll have. And you'll see some categories in there that have nothing in them, like Apple. There are, I know amongst the stuff here, there are disks and packages that have like Commodore on one side and Apple on the flip side. So that's why that category's there. So it'll get filled in eventually. I think the Atari category has one item that's that way, that's already up. And the whole money thing honestly makes me uncomfortable. I want to be able to do this stuff and not have to take a full-time job, because I couldn't do a full-time job, take care of my property, take care of my dad, and give my wife the love she needs, all at the same time. So everything financial-wise is completely optional, and don't feel in any way obligated. the Patreon gets early access in your name, but it doesn't have like gated where you can only get these videos or content through it. I don't want it to be that way. I'm not planning on doing any sponsored videos. You know, I would happily do a sponsored video for something like, you know, I'd absolutely love this this toolkit that I use for my Fix-It. But, you know, other than a few exceptions where I think a sponsorship would be good for you guys, not me, I'm not doing it. And if you see me starting to do that a couple years down the road, it means it's either that or get a job. So I really don't see that happening. I've had PCB Way reach out to me like 3 times so far, and I'm like, no, you know, I might have you make some PCBs when I start working on my my MIDI interface that I had for the Amiga back in the day. Yeah, he's not so much sick as, I mean, he's got Parkinson's, but that's not the taking care of I have to do. I'm taking care of his, basically taking over all of his financial stuff. So just paying the bills and making sure everything's taken care of so he doesn't have to worry about it and forget about it anymore. My sister and brother are up. It's about an hour drive to where he's at. And my sister and brother live in town there, so they're doing more. They're going in and you know, if he needs help or something from the grocery store. But we're moving him too. He wants to move into somewhere where he can get assisted living. So we're moving him here in the next few weeks. So if I disappear, it will be short term, but I'm not planning on it. I plan to keep on plugging. But yeah, got to take care of my dad. Fortunately, my mom's still doing great. She's completely independent, and she's also up an hour north of here. So I get to see her frequently, which is awesome. So anyway, I think I've covered everything. Again, I wanted to thank Doug and Sean, and just I need to go get to work. I actually have nephews staying again, and they want to paint miniatures. So we started painting miniatures last night. So I got to go teach them that today, at least until this afternoon. So without further ado, I will say later. Thank you all for coming, and have a great week.